I'm just going
Hey,
to put the guitar away.
everybody.
I'm going to put the guitar away after that solo. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Sorry.
That was great. That was fun.
Thank you very much.
Got a fun countdown music. All good. Welcome everyone to the brand new Crazy Stupid Marketing Show. And I'm very excited for this premiere episode where we're going to be talking. Let's start with an overview of what this whole series is about. This whole series is about marketing fundamentals. And since the internet became a thing, there's a lot of information out there, especially about marketing. Some of it is good, some of it isn't, some of it is helpful, some of it isn't. And there's not really one central place where you go to get into the conversation about what is right for your brand, what is not right for your brand, and how to move through that conversation. Hence the Crazy Stupid Marketing Show, where our goal is to have you not do crazy, stupid marketing things, and to instead do fun, awesome marketing things that actually are meaningful for your business. And to have this conversation, I've put together a phenomenal panel of rotating marketing experts. Yeah, it's you, Eric. You're one of them. Surprise!
All on you, Jen. All on you.
We're not only people who have a lot of experience and knowledge in the marketing arena, but also what I like to call marketing explorers. So the type of people who are always exploring new things, exploring fits, what's right for them, what's not right for them, and continuing to evolve in the conversation. So we're going to have a really great opportunity to learn different perspectives throughout the series of shows. This is the very first one. And we're going to kick it off with what else than marketing fundamentals, and a conversation around how do you get the marketing fundamentals right, and what are the things you need to know, and what are the things you can ignore, and a whole bunch of stuff. So before we jump into the actual conversation, let's learn a little bit about the people in the conversation. And historically, I have not introduced myself, but since this is a new show, I am going to introduce myself. For those... Yeah, the opposite thing. Figure out how to, I always get it wrong as well. I am Tracy Borison, host of the Crazy Stupid Marketing Show. I have been in the marketing industry for longer than I care to admit at this point, in everything from retail advertising to direct mail to email automation to like the dark corners of radio and all of the things. And I have a lot of different opinions than I hear in the market, mostly focused around authenticity and how we can harness authenticity in our marketing and go-to-market strategies instead of just focusing on doing things. So this is what I intend to bring to the conversation today. And I have some lovely panelists who are going to join me to bring their secret sauce to the conversation as well. Eric, would you like to introduce yourself?
Can I say the safe word now? We have a safe word.
We do have a safe word, fun fact, for all of our viewers.
Run out of things to say. I might use it now and just let Janet get on with it.
No, it's too soon. Too soon.
Too soon. Put the safe word away. My name is Eric Doyle. I'm coming to you this evening from Aberdeen in Scotland, where it is 6 minutes past 8 in the evening. That's how much I prize being on Tracy Borison's show. I'm staying away from my family. I'm isolated here at night. It's dark outside, but I thought I'd be here. We are the OGV Studio. We're a digital media company. We help organizations become the leading technical and commercial digital influencers in their sector by a number of things: training, developing content, running social media for people. But it all starts with the strategy, and it all ends with everything that you're doing to create demand and generate leads and all that. Everything that you're doing on digital channels, because we're a purely digital company, should be producing a result, a desired expectation. And there are multiple outcomes, mostly revenue, cash, profit, EBITDA, sometimes recruitment, sometimes just to become the sort of digital leaders in our sector. Sometimes it might be for investment or for a new product or service. So that's what we do. We assist companies become leading technical and commercial digital influencers in their sector.
Which is a very powerful thing. And there was something you said in there that is going to come up again in the conversation.
Oh dear.
But let's learn a little bit more about Janet. first. So Janet, please tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, I am a voiceover artist, and a lot of people don't know what a voiceover artist is. It is an actor. It is not a reader. We are trained in order to deliver the brand voice of the company. So basically, someone would hire me, and they would give me a script. It would be a commercial. It's digital. It could be on camera. It could be off camera. And basically, what I do is I then convey all the messages that are connected to the brand of that particular company. And that's why having a voiceover artist is important. I do everything from covering the voicemail, which is good. Any kind of videos that they have, podcasts, so that there's a distinctive voice that they can hear that resonates with everything that the company is for, basically. So you're not just getting a random person to do it. And I also, the tonality is very important for voice. I could get into the whole specifics about the whole thing, but it's a lot with. I get hired by the marketing companies, and that's what I do. The other thing I do is I've worked in the TV, film, and radio industry for over 20 years as a video editor, as in audio as well. I've worked in the television area, specifically into the news department. So cutting those stories that you see at the 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever time, I would be working with reporters to get that out onto the air. In addition to all of that, I've worked in different communities too, producing and editing a lot of community stories about the great people that are in the neighborhood. And I think I just had a little glip. I'm also a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant. And in addition to that, I also have a bachelor's degree in communications, a certificate in marketing, and I bring all that together so that I can help people really be authentic, as Tracy said, with their marketing. And that's me.
And this is one of the amazing things that you are going to find in this show is a very diverse background of people, because marketing, as much as the internet might wants to convince you so, is not just one thing. It does not look one way, especially it does not look one way if we want it to accomplish what our unique company goals are, which is something that Eric touched on in his intro. So before we hop into the conversation, I just want to appreciate the peeps who are in the comments. So Kira, great to see you, my friend. Dan is commenting about the music, and this is something I do want to share with everyone. That is custom music that has been created for my brand. If you're interested in having custom music for your own brand, please let me know. I'll hook you up with my guy. He's awesome.
You've got a music guy? You've got some team. You really have.
I have a music guy. Yep. All right. We got Robert saying we've got Eric. So we got crazy.
Good to see you again, Robert.
Welcome, Robert. Andrew, always good to see you, my friend. We have Peter joining us. And he's saying he spent 10 years as a radio news reporter. So it's nice to see someone else who's radio active.
Oh, I love that. Love that.
We got a LinkedIn user joining us from Austin, Texas. I have a guess at who that might be because I know my peeps in Austin. Welcome, everyone, to the show. And this is a really great... Oh, Pete, I can't forget Coach Pete. Coach Pete is here. So for everyone, while this might visually look like a conversation between Tracy, Eric, and Janet, this is an opportunity for all of us to get into the conversation. So if you happen to be Peter and you have 10 years of experience in radio and you have a perspective, you have an insight, please share it in the comments. We would love to hear that. If you are new or exploring the area of marketing and you have a question for the experts on the panel today, specifically based on the expertise that you know that they have, please share that in the comments. This is an interactive conversation for all of us, and the more everybody participates, the more we all get to take away. So that's up to you, people in the chat. Get in the chat. We want to hear your voice. Okay, So I want to start off with something, Eric, that you mentioned in your intro in terms of desired expectations.
Yeah.
So when I think of a very important marketing fundamental, your desired expectation is one of them.
Yeah.
So first of all, can we talk, let's talk about, I'd love to hear Eric, Janet, any examples or maybe struggles that you've seen people have in this concept of a desired expectation from a marketing perspective. And then we'll talk a little bit about what are some of the things that need to be part of the conversation in terms of making sure we know really what our desired expectations are. So who wants to go first, Eric?
Janet, would you mind if I jumped in first? Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
So I think one of the things that I find which both interests me and upsets me and sort of disappoints me is that there's this is particularly in the B2B space, particularly in the sectors that I work in, which are energy and tech and construction and all of that. There's this I think the B2B space, certainly my exposure to, and I'm not saying everyone, but there's a lot to be learned from the B2C space in terms of testing, right? In terms of testing, right? So we work with a few B2C companies, and I'm overwhelmed sometimes when I see the amount of market testing and analysis that they've done. In the B2B space, I do see a lot of, I've developed a hammer, now let's go out and find some nails to hammer in. We are a few clever people who can do clever things. We've come together and we're going to do that clever thing together. We've created a company to do that thing. We've cobbled together a logo and a website, and you're going to love it because we love it. Now let's go out and find some clients. So there seems to be this whole thing about, understanding the target audience, understanding the need, understanding the volume of the need, and whether you're going to be able to slot into that. Is it okay, there's a need there, but is it well populated? Is it well populated by big, large players, mid-sized players, small players? And where are you going to fit into that space, right? To get this desired outcome. Your question was about a desired outcome. I think in order to get to the desired outcome, we need to be thinking way, way, way more clearly, way more strategically, and way more analytically before we start, brand, get ourselves a bit of a logo and an email sign off, and go out to the world, and then 6 months to a year later say, well, that was a bit of a failure, wasn't it? I think there's a lot of expectation that certainly in the startup world that there's going to be lots and lots and lots of repeated failures before you get to your thing, the one that bites and the one that hits. But I do think there's a case for really understanding the market, really understanding the markets you're going after, understanding the need, and where you're going to fit in that need scale, where you're going to fit in it before we even think about going out to some company and saying, can you create as a logo? Because Tracy, that's what branding is, it's a logo.
Yes, this is what I tell people all the time, right? So the branding is just the logo. It's just your logo and colors. Don't even worry about it.
Get a logo. We're good. We're good.
For those of you who don't know me, no, I don't say that. Not what branding is. We're going to touch on a little bit more about branding. But I want to go to Janet, because Janet, you and I have had conversations before, both of us, which we didn't include as part of our intro, is that we also teach fitness classes. So we were talking a little bit about fitness marketing. And I see this as something that maybe there's some more focus we need to do there in terms of understanding our desired results before we just have the signage in the space, especially if you're then having a space that you're paying for. In your experience, Janet, what is the importance of knowing that desired expectation, and what else is it connected to?
I'm going to piggyback on what Eric was saying too about just being very clear about the strategies. What I see with a lot of companies is they don't have a clear marketing plan, and they never go back to their business plan, and they don't update that business plan. And there's no mission statement, there's no vision statement, none of that gets included. And then they don't realize too that marketing plan is very extensive. You got to have promotion. How exactly what do we see in all these different departments? And I think people want to jump with their feet headed first, and they're not looking at, okay, what is it that we're how are we, what is our budget? Where are we going to get our money from? What do we want to market? Just being clear about what is it that everybody wants on the page, like the team. Sometimes it's just one person's vision and there's no communication with everybody else on the team, and just drawing those experiences as well and learning. One thing I see too, and this is probably going off in another tangent, but on the websites, a lot of people don't even reply when people have made comments. It sits there idle. It's a great opportunity for a lot of businesses to get to know who are the people that are responding, right? This is all part of your marketing plan. And if you see that the target that you're trying to get is different from the people who are connecting with you, you need to revise all that, right? You're in your pictures, it's in your language on your website. It's all of that. Language is huge, even right down to your voicemail, right? All of that that's part of the marketing plan. And I see that working in fitness as a group fitness leader, teaching a variety of different types of exercises, Pilates, everything, dance. There's that lack of connection to who our audience is. Like, really take a look at them and spend some time, right? Who's your biggest fan? Why are they a fan? That could be a really great way of you targeting more people like that. So that's what I see, is that it's just a lack of strategies, a lack of updated. People have mission statements from 1980s, like they haven't updated anything. The business plan looks exactly the same, and yet the whole world has changed. Technology's changed, and that's not been integrated into the marketing. So that's what I see is
I think just to piggyback off of what Janet said there, this whole idea that, and I find this a lot. And I don't mean by any means that anything I'm saying is just carte blanche 100%. There are excellent examples of brilliant marketing going on in brilliant companies that are doing really, really well. But where we usually go in is where the wheels have come off a little bit, and it isn't producing. So the whole idea, going back to the root base of the word, marketing to whom, marketing for what. I think there are many companies, in fact, it's beyond think, I know, because I have hardline daily evidence of this, that people get on little hamster wheels of doing. We do marketing. Hire some marketing people to do marketing. Do the marketing thing. Why? Just do it. Just get on with it. Do the marketing. It's all good. It's all great. Do whatever it is that you do that you learned at college, do it here. For what? Don't know. Crack on. Just get on with it. Do the marketing because you have to, right? Why are we doing marketing? Because everyone in our sector does marketing, so we're going to do marketing. And that whole expectation that marketing is a thing that you just do to satisfy yourself, to make yourself feel good that we're doing marketing, against marketing to whom? Marketing to what? Marketing ourselves to, and Janet said it, to target markets, target audiences, people that don't know you yet, or maybe know a little bit about you, that actually, if they find out more about you, and when they do get to know you, they're going to find that you are the answers to their problems, and they're going to love you, and they're going to commercially interact with you for years, marketing to them. So I do feel that there's a bit of, we do all the marketing. Who does it? Lauren in marketing. She does it. She does all the marketing. And what does it mean for your company? Oh, it's really great. It does all the marketing things. It's all the marketing is covered off. It's excellent. So how is it transforming your business? How is it taking you into new territories? How is it really boosting your new products and services to those amazing new client bases that could be using it? Ask Lauren. Ask Lauren. I don't know.
This somewhat reminds me of that your little marketing show you used to do on LinkedIn where you had the wig.
A little bit. Yeah, absolutely. It's just that it's born out of frustration with those kind of conversations. Why are we doing this? Because everyone does it and we have to do it. So let's do it. Let's do the marketing.
Well, and I think this is interesting because my experience is that as well. I remember when Facebook first became a potential marketing tool, and the company I was working with at the time was like, okay, we need a Facebook page. And I was like, great. what's our Facebook page going to be used for? And they were like, I don't know. We just need a Facebook. Like, there to file complaints, but we don't use it internally for people to file. Being 23 and then being like, no, you just do what we tell you to do. I'm Lauren in marketing. You just do things. Sorry for any Lauren who's actually in marketing. You're probably doing. I'm sure you're doing a great job.
Lauren's great. Lauren is brilliant. Yeah. So that whole thing about, I often find, and I've said it before, it's probably like, Groundhog Day. When marketing becomes something that you just do because that's what we do, and we don't really understand why, but we know we have to do it because our competitors do it, it's when the wheels have fallen off the cart completely. But then you'll go into an organization where you sit down, can you tell us about your marketing? And they'll say, well, actually, what we'd rather do is tell you about the very essence of our company and what we're all about. And then naturally out of that conversation. So because of that, when we are marketing, we are using these channels because we've tested them and we know what works and what doesn't work. We have a team of really cool people. Some are in-house, some are outsourced, and they run different channels for us on different things. And we're monitoring the highs and lows all the time. We're adjusting, we're tweaking, and we can directly link all of that to our revenue, profit, and EBITDA.
Okay.
And you're like, this is cool. This is cool. This is fantastic. This is when companies are getting it right. And it's, I've used this term before. Perhaps it's too sensationalist, and I do apologize. But once you've got the market understanding, or the market need understood, once you know you've got a list of products and services, or a product and service that you know is going to provide solutions into that marketplace, and you know there's a space for you, and you know where you're going in, and you kind of know where you should be, but you're willing to fail and start again and adjust and not just do a marketing thing, whether it works or not. You're preparing to watch the levels. Marketing, and specifically digital media, is a celebration. It's an absolute celebration, a celebration of your company history, your specialism, your expertise, your solutions that you bring to your industries. And it's a celebration of your company culture. It's a celebration of your company culture. When it's done well, it will transform your business. When it's done poorly, it will do nothing except leak profit. Leak profit. You're paying the overhead for the marketing team. You're paying the overheads for the advertising, the memberships to that thing that you do, that you pay all the time. You don't really understand why you pay the subscription, but Lauren said it was a good idea. Sorry,
and I'm sure Lauren had a very good reason.
Lauren had a great reason at the time, but she's left now and she's been replaced by John, and he's hopeless. Where your website, your advertising, your social media, your videos, your graphics, how you're communicating to your audience, how you're listening, all of that working in concert and harmony in a way that you can say to your board and your shareholders and your employees, we don't do marketing, we market our very essence and our very, very DNA where it's needed, and we can show the return.
Yes, please. Return. I think this is a big thing in terms of marketing fundamentals, that when we get caught up in that cycle of doing, we forget that this is supposed to return something. This isn't just, and the return, let's talk about, okay, there's a lot of great stuff happening in the comments. I'm going to pull a lot of this through. First, before we go there, I want to talk about KPIs or metrics that we call KPIs.
Pineapple.
AKA key performance indicators that are not indicating anything. Like the number of blog posts we wrote this month. Okay. And so, Janet, I'm going to come to you first on this one. When we talk, this kind of goes back to the desired expectations, but when we're choosing to measure our marketing, what do we need to measure? And how does that compare to some of the things that a lot of people are measuring?
I think people are focusing too much on vanity metrics. A lot of got all these followers, I've got all this stuff. Yeah, you may have all these followers, but where's your interaction? Are these people actually interacting with you? Are they connecting with you about your product and services? And they're not. As a voiceover artist, I can also add to the fact that your voicemail, if a lot of people are not connecting with your voicemail and you don't have the proper information and you hear a click, that happens on, that tells you a lot of what's happening here. You can get a lot of numbers just by the sheer volume of people who are connecting, responding, emailing you, contacting you on the various platforms. The other thing that people don't realize is that, it's like Tracy and Eric had mentioned, they don't even know why they're on certain platforms. Like, there's certain platforms, your audience isn't there. So why are you there? I mean, if you have a large already audience on Instagram, hey, Instagram might be where you want to focus on, right? But I think people are just getting so broad, and marketing has changed a lot, and it's always continuously evolving. And I think people get stuck in the past. Oh, I must have Facebook, I must have this, I must have that. Yeah, but are you noticing that the people that are your target market has changed? Like, since COVID, everything's changed. But have you made any innovation since then on your website, on anything like that? The other thing I want to also piggyback on is the people are making decisions at your company. Do they all look the same? You know, we're living in a world where diverse people, we're getting more and more diversity everywhere, right? The people who are in this world are of different women, different genders, different cultures, and I think it's really important to include those people on your team. And so many times I've seen, different companies that talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and all the team is all the same, and there's not one person there. Sometimes it's all men, sometimes it's all women, sometimes it's, all people of a different, background. But you're not going to really connect to your audiences if you don't have that diversity. And that's in everything. That's in your podcasts. Are you inviting people in your podcast that all sound and look like you? Are you videos all the same? Your voicemail is the same. I can't tell you how many times I've contacted women organizations and I've heard a man speak like this. Welcome to, I mean, does that represent your target audience? And the whole thing too with voiceover, people are no longer speaking from a disengaged voice. This is not, everything now, for marketing, even in voiceover, has changed. We're now in this relatable voice that we need to connect with, right? And I see that with even the photography, they're using stock photos. Stock photos, if you have a diverse group of people, you don't need stock photos. You've got these people here. You can get clearance, right? And people pretending, and a lot of the mission and vision statements when George Floyd was murdered, I saw a lot of cut and paste. Like, what is it? Acknowledgement? Are we acknowledging or are we honoring? Right? So just language like that, and being aware of the people that you're connecting with, and you don't offend them. Because sometimes marketing can be very offensive. It can be very sexist. It can be very racist. It can be very gender phobic. When people are using words like, oh, love is blind, you have to really think about that. And that's why I love what I do, because I help people to see some of the messaging that they're not even aware of. And if you don't have that team of diversity to look at the different aspects, you're going to be offending the people that you're trying to connect to, right? And even being aware of the organizations. There's so many organizations that are trying to hit their targets. They don't even know the people in different organizations that represent the people even around them. They don't reach out to different organizations, and that is all part of the marketing that I think is completely missed.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think a word that keeps coming up in this conversation, especially from you, Janet, is connectedness, right? Connecting with people. And even when we look at this, there's a difference in energy between marketing to and connecting with. And if we're looking at things from a connecting with strategy, how are we connecting with people, or how are we building community, or different reframes from the just one way marketing to conversation, we get back to something that is about people. And I think this is a huge piece of the marketing fundamentals equation, is the people. And even Janet, you reference teams and the diversity in teams. Eric, from your perspective and from what you've seen, how important are the people? How fundamental are the people behind the marketing?
I think it's crucial, absolutely crucial. I think the people behind the marketing have to have a particular mindset, and the excellent marketing professionals that I meet have that mindset, which is, I need to get into the DNA of this organization, because in order for me to market this properly, I need to understand every breath and every heartbeat of this organization, where we're going, what we're doing, where we've been, where we can go. We use a very, very basic little formula, which I stole from the B2C world, which I think is absolutely, and we're having great successes with this in the B2B world. There's a lot of people that think, right, we've been in business for 20 years. Our biggest competitor has been in business for 20 years. They seem to be all over LinkedIn, and we're going to jump on LinkedIn. That's what we're going to do. We're going to jump on LinkedIn because we need to be there. So there's a little formula which kind of works. I'm not saying this is the only way. I'm saying this is a little formula that works. And it follows through. Many people are trying to go from good to great. Many people are trying to go from, we're pretty good at what we do, but we want to look great on social media. First of all, you have to be good. And there's lots of people that aren't good yet. So getting to good is important before you've set your stall out on being, just flooding the world with 20 people of your team just putting out stuff on social media. So a little formula that's worked, I think, is just following through a process, right? So in order to, I think there's a psychological hitch in here. In order to get to where we need to be, we're going to have to own something, right? So owned media. You need a baseline. You need to make a solid footprint of where people can find you and find out about you. That's where Janet was talking about. An excellent website, might be a YouTube channel, might be a really good LinkedIn company page, or it might be a LinkedIn company page on another platform. A really good, solid baseline where you are owning it. You're setting out your stall, people can find you, people can see you, and you own that little space. And you're doing it in a way that other people aren't doing it. Once you've achieved a bit of a baseline following there, and you're starting to get a little bit of juice and a little bit of action and sort of good responses, and people are getting in touch and all of that, you have then earned the right to stand on the podium and say, right, okay, we've got a bit of a following. We've got a bit of a community following us here. We can now go into paid media. Oh, the scourge of the world, paid media, right? Shared media. When people know where to find us, we can now do really, really good paid media campaigns where people can see that paid media campaigns and they know where to find us and they understand us, because we're building a little community. Once you have this working in concert and it's working really, really well and starting to really bed in, you can go for the gold star, earned media. But the clue is in the title. You have to earn it. You have to earn it. It doesn't come for free. There are many people jumping from a standing start to earned media and saying, well, I was trying to be authentic in LinkedIn. It didn't work. That little formula of owning a space and being really, really good in it, then doing some paid work around it. And I'll talk, if I can just have a few minutes more, I've got a really great example from a guy on TikTok, and I'm furious because I can't remember his name and I want to give him credit for this excellent video. Once you've got all of that, you can start to build on this whilst keeping the strategy and the plan working and keeping it all evolving. There is an excellent little piece on the paid thing that I was talking about. There's a guy on TikTok. If anybody recognizes this story, it's his story, not mine. Right? We've got nothing to do with it here at OGV Studio. On the paid piece, right? We meet lots of people that are saying, yeah, we're spending, 20,000 to 50,000, 60,000 a year on paid media, and it's not returning. It's not returning. Now, this lovely guy on TikTok does these great marketing videos, and he put up this little post the other day. He said a client contacted us and said, we're doing all this paid advertising and it's not working. They put all their eggs, exactly what you were saying at the start, Tracy. They put all their eggs into one creative basket, right? So they produced this beautiful video, like a TV commercial, with a test budget of about $20,000, right? It failed. It absolutely sank. Here's the problem. 1.4% click-through rate, about 15,400 people visited the website, a 0.8% conversion rate. They got 123 sales at $97 a sale, 11,900 in revenue from a 20 grand test that they did. So it was an absolute failure. But the problem was they'd created something that was like a TV commercial, which would have been beautiful on TV, but they put it on social media. They put the thing in the wrong place, right? So his message was, creative needs to be authentic and contextual to the place that it's running. Creative needs to be authentic and contextual to the place it's running. So with a smaller budget, his company took their video and made 10 little videos and a series of images and a bit of reviewing and testing. 3 months later, the 10 videos, they reviewed them. After a 3-month campaign, there were 6 losers and 4 winners. They rediverted the budget onto the 4 winners, right? So they consolidated the budget into the 4 performing videos, and it was achieving a click-through rate of 2.7%. So with the same 20K budget, that's now 29,700 people going to the website. The website conversion rate went up slightly because the videos were more effective. That's 1.3%, 386 sales at $97 a sale, $37,431. And then they used a little $2,200 retargeting budget. That was another 870 web hits at 4% conversion rate, 34 sales at $3,300, $40,000 for a 20 grand spend. Now, they've still got lots of work to do, and that was a really rough little recobble. But the message was, don't always put your eggs in one creative basket. Test, reset, go again, test, constantly monitoring, tweaking and checking all the way. And I wish I could remember the guy's name because I want to give him credit for that video.
And while we go to Janet, Eric will probably look it up and we'll give the guy credit because I know that's really bothering him right now.
Yep.
I think this is an important piece of the conversation too, when we're talking about marketing fundamentals and getting them right, is this concept of putting all of your creative eggs in one basket. And let's talk a little bit about from a like small business and or solopreneur perspective, because at that point in your business, you don't necessarily have a lot of budget to put in any kind of basket. So Janet, what are your thoughts on like creating a balance between like how what we can distribute and what we do have from a budget perspective, and diversifying, but also not over diversifying? Like, as you mentioned, we have a Facebook page, but we don't know why we have a Facebook page. Like where is that balance, or what are some of the pieces of the conversation we need to have to find what that balance is for us?
Well, I want to piggyback on what Eric was saying with videos, because I have been working on the videos. So I know from that perspective, the pre-production and post-production end of it. And I know some of the why some of the videos don't work and why they do work. One thing I have to say is that a lot of websites don't even have videos. That's number one problem. And as Eric had said too, just looking at the different platforms, right? Certain platforms are more receptive to a longer format, and certain platforms are for a shorter format. And the other thing that they don't look with videos is, if you are on a certain platform and you have, say you have predominantly women, and on another platform you may have men, or you may have different genders. If you're having that same video, and even if you're cutting down that video and making it shorter for platforms, you're missing your target. You need to have, like, I would suggest that people have different videos. And as Eric in test, right? Some people have the same video, but they have a man there, and they have a woman, or they have a different gender, right? So just test to see what actually resonates with your audience. Also the usage of language is very important. I know I say that a lot, but whoever is writing these videos, do they come from a different background when they're writing them, right? Are they using words that connect to that audience? Because a lot of times they're having the video and then they just swap out, if it's animation, they just swap out a different image, right? A different character, but that's not good enough, right? You have to have different types of A/B testing, right? And The other thing too is that they do this in shows and all of that. They do a test when they have a show, and then they see if the audience actually resonates with these characters, and then they will switch those characters out and maybe get a new actor in there, right? That is more responsive to the group, right? Nothing against the audience. So I would say that is one of the issues that they could look at. Also, like voicemail as well. I have to say that again. That is a missed opportunity. When people contact your business, do you have voicemail? And is the voicemail so fast that you could call press 1, press 2, or is it something that people feel like, oh wow, I really want to listen to this. I really hear what the person's saying that has clear direction, right? Does that also resonate with when they're going on these online sites? Do they have quick responses? And do those responses, are they bots, or do they sound like the voicemail in that kind of friendly manner, right? It has to be consistent all the way through, right? The communication has to be consistent. And I think people are missing out on that, right? I think, well, I missed the question that you asked me. I know I was supposed to answer. Oh, what was the other?
I think
It's awesome.
Janet piggybacked. I'm going to piggyback right back on that.
So much piggybacking.
So
we're like way stacked up on this point. We're trying to visualize it.
If the company started off on a bad footing where they don't understand their brand from day one, as the years progress and Lauren leaves and John comes in and the management team change out, maybe it changes hands as a private equity person comes in or company comes in, all these things get layered on the top, covering up the tiny little excuse for brand understanding that there was in the very first place. And then it's completely lost. So you end up with, I sometimes wonder if the problem gets so large, you're talking about going back to even like voicemails and emails and how we speak as a company. And, we go into organizations and we say, so, when we work with a company, we need to get into their DNA. We need to get into their minds. We need to get into their hearts, and we need to understand truly, because we don't want to be, just design as a digital ad and just make it look like this and put it out, and this is what we're going to give you. We don't want to be that company. We want to be a company that's affecting a really, really positive change on our clients' marketing efforts, right? So when we go in, we sit down, even if we've been called in to do a series of corporate videos or to run social media, whatever, we'll ask what a series of just telling questions. What is your brand's identity? It's unbelievable the amount of people around a boardroom table that are getting paid big, healthy salaries that will stutter and say, "Well, we sell plastic things that go into a thing." But what's your brand's tone of voice? What's your brand's tone of voice to your markets? Do you use the same tone of voice in all of your markets, or what? Yeah, the same, pretty much the same tone of voice. We sell plastic widgets that go into the thing and turn. How do you position your brand? Because of its tone of voice and its personality. How do you do all of this? What is the brand experience? How do your customers reflect back and say the experience of being with this brand, not working with this brand, being with this brand was so effective in our lives that we have no option to go anywhere else. We must stay with this. What's the brand experience like? Tell me, come on, tell me what the brand experience is like. Well, lots of customers really like our plastic thing that goes in and turns and it's really good. So in order to get to that nirvana stage of owned media, paid media, earned media, and then all that marketing being a celebration, there are some companies where the onion skins have just grown over so much that they've completely lost and don't understand and can't tell you themselves what their brand stands for, what its identity is, and what its purpose is. And when you say things like, what is your brand's purpose? Oh, it's to sell the plastic thing that goes in and it's like, well, we're going to have a bit of a struggle here because we have to define this brand's identity and tone of voice and position them and their messaging and all of that and their personality. And very few of the leadership team actually can tell you that. We've asked 10 separate people who've got 10 separate answers. So it's just become a big muddled mess. Yet the same people will tell you more often than not that, we tried social media, it doesn't work.
Because there's only one way to do social media.
Only one way to do it. We tried it for 2 weeks. And in those 2 weeks, we gave it our all and it gave us nothing. It gave us nothing. We've tried it, scored it off. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting piece of the puzzle, because when we talk about brand, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, this isn't just about a logo. It isn't just about colors. It's not just about your tagline. It is, what is your essence? What is your purpose? What is your why? Why do you exist? Why does your company exist? To make plastic things that turn, right? Why? And at some point there was a why. At some point there was a reason why someone said, I need a plastic turny thing instead of a metal turny thing, because otherwise I'm going to electrocute myself.
No problem.
Yes. We want to stop people from electrocuting themselves. This is better than nothing. Right? Like, there's so much about brand. And even today we've talked a lot about target market and market research and narrative and these types of things. And it's not that those things are not important, but there's a way that your brand does each of these things, right? There's not one brand voice. There's not one brand experience. There's not one way to use LinkedIn. There's not one way to have a podcast. There's not one way to do a video. There's not one way to do business, right? Or go to market. There is not one way. And if we haven't connected to the, like, what's our way, and if you're a solopreneur, what's your way, right? You get to dictate all of the things if you're a solopreneur. But as we grow as a business, we add more people to that scenario, this now builds a brand DNA. You have a unique DNA for your organization because of your people, because of your why. And this is why really awesome marketing service providers will ask you those types of questions, because those are the things that make you unique. And if you're trying to create an owned space that is your own space, it has to be unique. And it might as well be unique in the exact same way you are unique as a brand. Otherwise, like, what are we building these things on? Janet, it looks like you have something you want to say.
Yeah, sorry, Janet.
Oh, I have a couple of things. I don't think people know the difference between owned, and and other. They don't understand, because what I see on online, that they don't understand that you do not own Facebook, you do not own Instagram. Okay, the algorithms are constantly changing, right? They make decisions all the time. When something is owned, like your website that you pay for,
Yeah.
you have control over that. You don't have control. I hear so many people complain, oh, I can't believe Facebook is changing again. And you don't own that, right? So all of your pictures, all of your everything on there can be eliminated, right? And that's one thing that I feel that they don't understand. I think also with marketing is that what they don't understand too is, with COVID, the world has changed. And seasonally, the world changes. So does your brand that you use, that little gizmo thing, is that different in October than in summer, than in spring? And I think that when marketers understand that seasonal changes and understand what their target market needs differently per season, per year, they will have a better way of marketing that business or service. If it's not a one size fits all throughout the whole entire year. Also, if you've had clients or customers who are aging, who are going through changes, who have, they're giving birth, they're getting into families, understanding the dynamics of what's happening with your target audience and how they are evolving and changing, right? I don't think they understand that. It's like when you look at boy bands and now they're 20 years old, like in sync, right? The way they're going to
I'm a Backstreet Boys fan myself.
Okay, right?
They're all
it's
like
going to
50
be different.
now.
They're
What's wrong with
exactly
50?
they're 50.
What's wrong with 50?
Nothing is wrong with 50.
Wrong.
Amazing.
Right.
I didn't
50's
get this
amazing.
look by being 30.
Exactly. But it's like the same thing, right? It's like we don't see that Everybody is changing. And that's why the marketing has to also reflect those changes. Maybe you're going to use different colors in October. Maybe you're going to, in September or summer, or maybe you're going to make a little bit jazzier communication. Your sense of language and your wording is different in the summer as it is in the winter months. What do people need? They're out less in the winter. They're in more, right, in the winter. So why not have, when you're looking at your product and services, being aware of those changes? And again, I always keep striking about diversity, equity, inclusion, to have those different voices from all different parts of the world that you're trying to target, also have them reflected on your team so you can have that different input. If everybody sounds like you, you're going to get the same type of input all the time. It's not going to change, right? And so if you're aware of that, people can say, hey, and talk to your teams and look at these people and see that, really read what's happening when people are online and they're responding, right? If they are commenting on something that you're not doing, ask yourself why. Maybe that's something that you could look at, that you can make those changes, because your target audience is trying to talk to you. They're trying to tell you how to make your business better. If you don't listen to that, and you're just listening to a whole bunch of teams that don't reflect them, then you're always out of step.
Well, you bring up a great point, Janet. What is the role of listening in marketing? Because I think a lot of times people are so concerned about the message going out that we forget to listen. So, Eric, what are your thoughts on the listening component?
And the listening part, totally. In that little bit I said about digital media and marketing being a celebration, it's about how you're communicating. Communicating is not just 2-way, 3-way, 4-way, 5-way. Sensing the tone, listening back. And I do feel that in these companies that have just wrapped themselves up in all this complicated red tape and wool and mold and onion skins and all of that, sorry, that's horrible. I hope no one's eating lunch or dinner. But I do believe that whole listening piece is just frittered away. We do the marketing, we put it out there, we get the stuff out. That's the important bit. It's about getting it out. I find there's a lot of, we do it and it's important to do the thing. Sorry, Tracy, I know that's just to do it, just to put the stuff out is the win. But then there's the whole follow-up piece that Janet was talking about, the whole follow-up piece. Every single piece of content we put out, whether it's a podcast, a piece of social media content, something good that we think is really good that we've tested, we're putting on our website, just get it up. Get it up and then move on to the next one and get that up and get that up and get that up and flood the market with stuff. When do you take a moment just to pause and actually listen for feedback, if there's any? Because it might be a dark chasm of silence, right? And we're doing all this stuff for nothing. I think fundamentally, going back to the old principles about what is marketing for, it's to create excitement and a bit of fizz and a bit of juice about what it is that you do, right? It's to create demand for connection and conversation. It's about to create demand for, to the point where people are saying, I want this in my company. I want to buy this. I want to give you our dollars. I want to give you a purchase order or whatever it is for what you do, because I believe you. I'm in. I get it. I absolutely get it. And I think a lot of that is creating demand to get people absolutely on the edge of, fizzled with excitement about, going back to marketing and digital media being a celebration. We want people to celebrate with us, right? And in some senses, people will celebrate with us by saying, take my dollars, take my pounds, take my euros. And I think being able to convert that celebration and that excitement from just celebration and noise and excitement and conversations and all of that into commercial interaction has to be the aim. If we're not doing that, then we're just making really, really good, pointless digital art. Mm-hmm. Over and over, because we think it feels good and it's right. We're making free digital art for people to ignore, to walk past in the digital galleries, because that's what they're doing. They're walking past it. If all of this and digital marketing was a digital art gallery, if they're walking past your art day after day after day after day, someone's got to realize this, and we'll only realize it when we stop, measure, listen, take feedback, and maybe say adjust.
Yes.
And I think this is something that we've touched on multiple times here, is this concept of adjusting and innovating and evolution. That this is not, I think, again, sometimes when we use the words like fundamentals, not that the fundamentals change, but the exact execution of those things might look different over time, and maybe in fact should look different over time. And Peter asked a great question, I think, which a lot of other people would ask too. If my target is seniors, should my team only be comprised of people 55 or better? I mean, I think very minimally, if you're not listening to people who are 55 or better, then who are you listening to?
Janet is just about to bite your hand off.
Well, okay. I'm just like, people, okay, first of all, no group is a monolith, right? So there's no such as 55 as a group. So what in that 55-year-old where's the diversity and equity inclusion in there? How many are women? How many, where geographically, where do they live? What kind of jobs do they have? Are they grandmothers? Are like looking at just really going into, if you're looking at the group, really looking at the intersectionalities of this group. And what I mean by intersectionalities, I mean, socioeconomic status. I'm looking at their education. I'm looking at, is there physicalities, if there anything physically that they need, really getting into that. And I think that's the problem, is that when, people target a group like the Black group, right? There's no such thing as a Black group, or the Scots. Everybody is so diverse in that group that there's no such thing as that. Like, I work in the fitness field, and it's very difficult for people of different ages after the age of 50 to find something that they feel included. Either they're in a class that has, some people with a lot of ambulatory issues, or they're in a class with 20-something-year-olds. They're jumping up and down, hitting the ceiling, right? So it's just having that diversity of really looking at the group and seeing who is actually there, before we can actually get into, partying and all that, really diving in and looking at it. So that's what I would say. If you're going to have 55, really dismantle and see who do you have there?
Yeah.
Sorry, just a real quick one on that same subject. I read a brilliant case study. Of course, I can't remember where I read it, so I'm going to have two things to try and put into the comments here. A brilliant case study on a company who were targeting seniors but wanted to go completely digital. But when they did their testing, all of their target market, or the majority of their target market, wasn't on digital channels. So they developed an advertising campaign targeting the children and grandchildren of the seniors to get the message through to them that way. And the targeted digital advertising campaign was to children and adults of people that were seniors through digital channels, and were so sort of heartwarming and all of that. I think it was maybe a pensions company or a medical company or something, but they got the message through there, and it was very well crafted about your parents, your grandchildren, and they got the message to them through other channels. Inquiry rates went up, website visits went up, telephone calls went up. Amazing.
Well, and this is what happens when you go beyond the basic target audience, which a lot of people will talk about from a demographic perspective, right? And you want age, and you want household income, and you want gender, and these are the things that you want in a target audience. But almost never is your target audience created that way. There's one of the things that people ask me, like, oh, who do you want to talk to? And I always tell people, the curious. I want to talk to people who are curious, because if you're not curious, you're probably not watching this show. You're probably not exploring new rivers of thinking. You're probably not questioning your authenticity. You're probably not doing a bunch of the things that I do. And I want to hang out with people who are like me. And I've decided that is the curious to me. Some of the curious people need help with their marketing. some curious people don't need help with their marketing, but we get to connect on this like curiosity vibe. And that, when you look at a target audience from a my people perspective, like who are my people? And we erase all of these things about like age and background and experience. How many years do you have on your resume of this? And like what kind of platform you hang out on, even, right? Like this doesn't have to be so like my people are on LinkedIn. Maybe those people probably also have Facebook accounts. It's more about like, how do I want to show up, and how do I want to connect with people, and how am I showing people that that's what I'm connecting with people based on? I could give a rat's ass about your age, right? I don't care. I don't care about your age. I've had clients
Care about my age.
No, I don't care about your age either. I've had clients who are 25-year-old women, and I have clients who are 62-year-old men. Like, because it doesn't matter, right? What I am here to do is help people be more authentic. And if you want to be more authentic, I don't care what your demographics are. Like, let's talk about it. And I think a lot of brands.
Hashtag it. Love it when Tracy gets passionate.
We're talking about marketing fundamentals, and I think this is one that a lot of people get wrong, is they get their target audience wrong because they focus on the wrong things. And when you're focused on things like a lot of the other things we talked about today, experience, who you are as a brand, why you exist as a brand, what kind of solution you're trying to create for people, what kind of experience you're trying to create for people, the natural communication styles you have on behalf of your brand. These are the things that allow you to find the right people that want to consume the way you want to create, and who want to build a relationship the same way you want to build a relationship, because it's not all people, it's different people, and that's your people.
I think to Peter's point, so the target is not the bullseye, but the board. I would say it's the very specific areas on the board that you're going to have to really work hard to find that lead you to the bullseye. It's not just the board. It's not just about a mass, throw it and see what happens, you know. So I think, Peter, it's a great point. I think it's about the very specific areas that you're only going to find through testing and proper analysis and work that leads you to that bullseye, not the entire board itself. Mm-hmm. That would be my tuppence worth.
One of the examples I heard once that I loved in the term of like target audience and more so community is the solar system. So in our solar system, we have a whole bunch of planets that orbit the sun, but each of those planets has a different relationship with the sun based on its closeness to the sun. Neptune, way out there, still in our solar system, still participating, right? But participating in a very different way that Earth is participating. And so as you get closer to you get closer to like full alignment in your target. And there are people out orbiting you who resonate with pieces of what you do, but probably not all with what you do, or they really like what you do, but they don't need it right now, or a variety of different things. And this is why it's cool to have that owned section where like, this is the conversation I own here, and people can orbit it in different areas. But if I don't have a process that helps me identify who's orbiting really closely, really fast, and who's orbiting way out at Neptune, we're probably not going to turn it into a commercial interaction.
Yes.
All right. So we did go over, which I totally anticipated that we would.
I've just noticed it's an hour.
Yes. This is what happens when you get into thoughtful, curious conversations with other thoughtful, curious people, and a wonderful group of thoughtful, curious people in the comments today. So thank you, everyone, for coming and contributing your thoughts. I didn't get to bring nearly enough of them across into the conversation, but such valuable comments there. Thank you, Eric and Janet, for so openly sharing your expertise and your thoughts to help our peeps get the marketing fundamentals right for their business. This, folks, is going to be a monthly show on the last, I will say, quote unquote, last Tuesday of every month, except in October, it will not be, because that's Halloween, and then I didn't want to do it the whole Halloween thing.
This is more complicated than the days of the month rhyme.
30 days has September.
Sure.
Anyway, if you liked this and you want to stay on the invite list, maybe just contact me and I'll make sure that you get on the invite list the next time we have an episode. There will be one a month, and we're going to focus on some of the different things that came up today in terms of marketing fundamentals, so we can deep dive some of those things, so we can continue to share and brainstorm and learn together what are the marketing fundamentals that fit our business and how do we bring them to the world. And with that, everybody, I'm going to sign off with my typical sign off. So either extrapolate this for your individual marketing or your business marketing, but the permission is permission to do you. Have a great night, everybody.